Hey everyone, welcome to Watch It Paint It. This week I'm painting Hyldir from Masmorra. You can also play an Arcadia quest if you didn't already know that. This model was requested by Carl Gustafsson on Facebook. And here's a little picture of all the paints that I've used during this tutorial. I'll also put them in the description below. So we'll start by showing you how to prime the models. So I take a bunch of them, stick them to a piece of scrap cardboard with blue tack. As you can see here, this stops them blowing over in the wind, but also like the force of the spray pushing them over, so it helps get a better coverage on them. And I'm going to be using the colour primer Barbarian Flash by the Army Painter. And there you can see as you spray from side to side evenly. I start spraying slightly off the side of the model and then go all the way across all of them. And once I finish spraying, I just flip the can upside down, spray it until no more colour comes out, and then the nozzle will keep nice and clean. So there's Hyldir primed, and the first colour I'm going to use on the base coat is the Zombicide Brainmatter Beige, doing her eyeballs, her teeth, her top and her skirt with this colour. It's a little bit fiddly past all the hair and the cloths dangling down, and I'm going to choose the zombie shader here, the black shader, just to get the outline of the eyes and the teeth straight away. So I'm just allowing that to seep into the outside of the eyes there. And onto Filthy Suit with the grey from, the light grey I should say, from the Army Painter. And this is for her trousers. And I'm going to do her hammers a sort of stone colour. So I'm base coating this with the Filthy Suit here. I'm going to do both hammer heads with this colour. Nice and easy to coat. I've used the regiment brush for everything so far. Next up is Hot Orange by Vallejo, and this is for her headband. I've switched down to the detail brush. This is slightly fiddlier work. And so the top of the top's orange, and the handles that are hammer, as well as the gem on her sort of dangle cloth and the dangle cloth itself, and some gems on a necklace as well. Next I'm going to move on to her eyes. So I'm using the same orange to do the first layer of her eyes, and then the hot orange to do the lower part, so over the top of where I've just done. This gives, sort of illusion that light's lighter at the bottom. The dead black, using the detail brush here for doing some pupils, just touching that one up, having a closer look, and that's pretty much the eyes done for now. Next up is the bright gold from the Army Painter. This is to colour all of her jewellery in, so all around all of those gems that we painted in earlier with the orange, as well as little hair bubbles there and random jewellery on the back of her gloves. She's got quite a lot of hair bubbles, and then she's got these Viking horns, some sort of headband, earphones, maybe she's got headphones on there. Machinegun metal, the dark silver from the Army Painter here, and that's to do her fingerless gloves. I'm just leaving the bottom side of the gloves clear to do the lighter silver in a moment. I'm also doing her boots there in the Machinegun metal silver. And here's the lighter silver, the Claymore blade by the Army Painter, and that's to do the bottom of the hammer handles, and the top of the hammer handles past the orange part, as well as the bottom section of the gloves, just to give it a lighter effect. Two-tone gloves, very stylish. Desert Yellow from Vallejo, sort of yellowy brown. This is for her hair. I'm using the regiment brush here, giving a nice quick watery even coat as best I can all over her hair, including all of these little ponytails she's got. Not forgetting her eyebrows for once as a special treat for us all. And that's the base coat done, so we're going to be on to shading next, and starting with the zombie shader, which I'm going to use for the skin. And as I've been progressing through these models, I'm being a lot more precise with the skin shading, so I'm just going for the very edges of all of the skin. And that saves a lot of time sort of highlighting up the base colour again at the end, because I was just basically painting back on the base colour everywhere. So if I just put the shade where I actually want it, so between the hair and her face and the headband and her face and in a neckline, and along all the muscle lines. I found that a lot better. I also used the same shader for her hair there. Next is the Survivor shader again, so the same as I used for her eyes. This time I'm doing all of the metal, all of the whites, and all of the greys in this. It gives a much stronger shadow effect, as you can see like instantly there. And that's the shading done. So next up I'm going to do some colour mixing. So I'm just showing you my Pringles lid. I've run out of them, so that's what I was left with. But luckily Quickdraw Supplies have sent me some of these flower wells. So I've got a reusable palette now, which hopefully is going to be a lot easier to show you some colour mixing, which hopefully is quite helpful. So this is taking the pale flesh and the survivor skin that I use for all of these models, and I'm going to take some bit of survivor skin, and this is just to touch up any of the bits that the shader caught where I didn't actually want it to. So I shaded around her nose, but her cheeks don't want to be shaded, and the top of her forehead didn't want to be shaded. And then I'm just painting, cleaning up her muscles as well, where it's spread a bit further than I wanted it to. So hopefully you can see that. And getting all the fingers, that was too difficult to paint between each finger, so I needed to touch those back up afterwards. So after retouching up the base coat, I'm getting some Pale Flesh by Vallejo. I'm going to mix the two together. You can see it's probably about 75% survivor skin and 25% the pale flesh. And then I'm using the detail brush here to carefully paint on all the parts of her skin that would be raised, so her cheeks, her nose, her forehead, chin, and all the edges of her muscles. So hopefully this is helping with the palette here. You can see that I'm mixing a lighter version now, so I'm adding more of the pale flesh in, and the palette allows me to put the colours near each other, so hopefully you can see the difference in tones. So now I'm applying a much thinner line of the brighter skin colour to all of the fingers, basically the same places, but this is just catching the very edges, so all the knuckles on her hands, and the bottom of her chin, and the tip of her nose, and the tips of both of her eyes. Her cheekbones will have been painted, the top of her chest, and the very edges of all of the muscles, and then I'm just doing some on her back as well, brightening that up a little bit. Back to the Brainmatter Beige for all the whites. Basically painting these back to being white, leaving the shade in all the crevices between sort of the folds of her skirt and her bra, as well as leaving the underside of it all quite shaded as well to make it look more shadowed down there. So the hot orange is back out, just touching up all of the orange parts where the shader covered more than I needed it to. And I'm going to use the orange fire to add the final highlight to all of the orange parts, so catching the edge of a headband, all the edges of that little bit of cloth that's hanging down, a little bit of each gem, just catching the light as though the gem would. Filthy Suit is just to highlight back up the tiny bit of grey on the trousers, as well as the bit around her belt, and there's a tiny bit on the top as well. And then I'm just going to paint back in all of the edges, all the raised parts of the hammer to give it more of a 3D look and feel, hopefully. And then round each one of those parts of the top, leaving the shader in all of those crevices there. Hopefully that's starting to look more realistic. There's lots of sides to these hammers, so it's quite time consuming, and I'm using the detail brush there, hopefully you can see, so taking my time, being careful, especially around this part. That's that done. So Machinegun metal again, the darker of the two silvers that I use. This is just to touch up, add a highlight to the edges of all of her boots, all two of them, and as well as the edges of the gloves that you can see. And then the same with the Claymore blade, just going to catch the edge, bottom side of the hammer, each of the ridges of the handle, the bottom of her gloves, same on the other side, and just the toe piece of her boots. Bright gold, just to highlight back up the gold that's been shaded, So it was shaded with the Survivor shader, which gives it a quite good tarnished look and feel. And then it's a very quick highlight back up, just catch all the edges. Makes it look very realistic very, very quickly. Not forgetting her headphones and a little hairband there. So I'm going to use the zombie skin to highlight her hair here, and using the regiment brush, and instantly decided that was way too strong a highlight. I just left that in so you guys could all see it. So now I've mixed about 50-50 of the desert yellow with the zombie skin, and this is a much better highlight, I think. So I'm just using the regiment brush, as I mentioned, just to apply this all over her hair, just leaving the shadows shaded, catching the hair at the front as well, and then I'm going to use dry brush to scrape some paint over all 4 of her ponytails. Hopefully you can see that was coming along. Just don't forget to catch the underside as well, where the light would get through. And then I'm going to just use some neat zombie skin now to paint just the very front of her hair. So as per the picture of her, she's got a sort of white glow at the top where the light would be hitting it most, and then I've just ad-libbed a little bit and stretched it out a bit further on the tips of her ponytails here as well, just making it look a little bit more realistic. And then finally, as I do with all the Arcadia Quest models, I'm going to Moonfang brown the base. So just getting a nice even covering of that, being very, very careful under her skirt and around her feet. And then last, I'm going to add the Agrelin earth as thick as I can. So it's probably 1/2 mil to 1 mil thick. And just, again, being very, very careful. Because this is so thick, it can go quite high up her shoes. So I'm being super careful to just slide it in under her feet as best I can there. And then once it's dried, it cracks like that, as you can see. And as I did in the last couple of videos, I'm just going to take some gloss varnish and varnish her eyes and all of her gems. And there you go, that's Hyldir finished. So hopefully, Carl, you're happy with that. If anybody else has got any suggestions of who they'd like to see painted next, don't hesitate to drop me a comment below or come and find me on Facebook at Watch It Paint It. I've had a request from Adrian to do Natasha from Inferno, and she looks pretty awesome with the pink hair, so I'm going to be doing her quite soon. But any others, drop us a comment. Thanks for watching.